1, 2, 3. Tag Me In Podcast.
Tag Me In Podcast, back again with another episode. Joined by myself, Ola.
And you're also joined by Anton.
Yes. And in today's episode, we are looking at love versus logic. Okay? Yeah, the clash. You get the clash. And we've had, not the same, but I guess quite a similar episode on sort of intuition and following your gut. But this one's more on the aspect of sort of love. So some people might say the heart versus the brain. So in certain situations, you know, your emotions might flare up and tell you to go one direction, but in another situation, your brain's going...
Wait.
Okay.
The references are always there.
It's always there. It's always there. Then on the other hand, you kind of got that logic of, but this is the kind of smart and logical thing to do. And the thing is, it can relate to various different topics. So
look, are we taking it from the angle just talking about relationships or just like...
This is the thing that it pertains to many different aspects. So we're talking career, we're talking family, we're talking relationships. It ties into everyday aspects of life.
Yeah.
And I think it would be important for us to kind of touch on all those different aspects, but we could look at it from the relationship perspective, you know, but it does kind of touch on various different things. Case in point, we had an episode on weddings, people spending 30 plus K on a wedding, the average being about just under 31,000. You got the love aspect, or let me say the emotional aspect, where people are saying, I've been thinking about this all my life, my whole childhood. I've always wanted to be that little princess. They want to kind of have the fancy dress, you know, the fancy show, the eye sculptures, all the whole shebang, fireworks, everything. But then you got the logical side that says, hold on a minute.
My bank account.
My bank account is on the staff bed. It's crying, man. Are we really going to spend this amount of money on a one-day event where we're going to be stressed out? We can use that money for our emergency fund, as a deposit on the house, or to start investing and saving for our future family. And that's, you know, one kind of classic example where in a relationship you kind of see, you know, one person who's a bit more stronger in the heart and the emotions, and then you've got another person who's a bit more stronger in the kind of logical sense, and then you always kind of get that clash of, you know, how do we kind of meet in the middle. That's the thing.
I just have this feeling.
There's this kind of argument of, are we right to really just let our emotions run loose? Because you can't deny someone's emotions. Your emotions are your emotions, and they are always valid.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, I think there needs to be that balance between your brain kind of coming in and going, we need to be sensible about this. Yes, you like cuddly animals, you like pets, you want to go pet that lion, but hey, I don't think that lion's in eat mode. He's looking for food, and you're there going, hey buddy. He doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to understand, firstly, recognize and kind of strike that balance. But then, is there ever too much of a one side? Because I've been in situations where people would be like, you're being too logical. Like, maybe looking at a house, some people would be like, it just felt right. We walked in, it just felt good.
It felt like home.
This was our this was our home. We knew from the moment we stepped in, this was our family home. But then sometimes you've got the other aspect of, how far is the commute from work? How much is the house actually going to cost? How much is the mortgage going to be? Are we near main roads? So we're going to have that noise pollution? Are we near a airplane strip? So again,
can you imagine? I love this.
Yeah, I love it. But you know, there's all these different things that people need to kind of think about. And it, you know, talking about relationships, I don't even know, can you think of any specific examples now? Because even with that, I guess it would be on a similar vein.
There's been moments where I've liked someone and I know logically it doesn't make sense.
Okay,
so there's a feeling.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, this woman.
I don't think that's wrong though, because
I'm feeling her, I'm digging her. My feelings, my emotions are like that. Mad. But the logical part of my brain's going, all right, 1 + 1. X is equivalent to 4. And it doesn't logically make sense. And it is a constant battle. And I've been in this kind of battle between, you know, I see it as the heart versus the mind.
Yeah.
They've both got boxing gloves on.
Yeah.
They're both ready to get tagged in. They're like they're ready.
AJ versus AJ.
And sometimes the mind will win, and sometimes the heart will win. But one thing I've realised a lot of the time, the logic in my mind has been right. So roll on 3 months. The logic that was in my brain 3 months ago, where I was thinking, this ain't gonna work, or this is the issue, or this is the problem. will always come to, not always, but has mostly come to surface.
But then does that mean that your emotions suffer? So say you met this person, inside it feels right, gooey, all that good stuff, whatever. But then logically you're like, no, this equation does not make sense. It doesn't balance. I don't like it. You walk away.
No, my emotions are like, hey, we're going to stick to this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you roll on 3 months, you're like, oh man, I should have listened to my brain.
That roller coaster.
And then it's that, how do you get out of that kind of, that moment of, I should have listened to my brain, because it does tie into intuition sometimes.
Yeah.
But then also your feeling ties into intuition.
That's the thing. That's what I'm going to say. I think your feelings, your gut feelings, your emotions, they're kind of like that also natural state as well. That kind of natural compass that guides you as well. And it's tough because you have both. We as humans have evolved and we have both. And it's a constant struggle to want to pick one side or the other. I think in relationships it's tough because a lot of a relationship, for the most part, is based on emotion. How do I feel about this person? And this person makes me feel. How do we make each other feel?
And then translating that into logic.
But then translating that into logic and sort of saying, okay, cool, the emotions are there. Emotions change over time. Long term, we need to think logically.
It's not even that. It's even putting a label on that emotion. So whatever emotion you might feel for your person now will alter depending on, so in 2 years,
yeah, change with time.
It might change. So I've been in positions where I'm like, I love this person. And then think, is it love or is it lust? Or is it conditional love? Is it unconditional? Definitely it's conditional, because I'm having this question, I'm having this conversation with myself. So I always find that you could apply logic to emotions, but I don't think we fully understand our emotions.
And I don't think everyone has complete control of their emotions.
Oh no, emotions are free.
But I think it should be that way, because I think it would be a loveless world if we just completely ran on logic. If it was all just based on numbers and equations and probability and all that stuff, I don't think the world would work.
But in a way, you could have a love for logic. It's weird, but you know people who've got a love for maths because it's logical, you can always get an answer. Yeah, so I get your point. But I'm also thinking love will still exist regardless if you're logical.
If everything exists, I'm talking about the battle. Yeah, so it will always exist, but the kind of battle between it. And even if you take it, so looking at relationship, if you look at it from the parent-child relationship, one thing that I hear a lot of parents kind of say and do is that parents will be like, I love my kids so much, you know, I want to give them everything that I didn't have. And then what usually ends up happening is they overindulge. So they oversupply that child with what they didn't have, whatever the child wants. Mom, I want this. Because I love you and my emotions are strong, I'll give you whatever you want. And what I usually kind of see years down the line is this adult who has childlike behaviours. They're accustomed to getting what they want, when they want, how they want it. And it was because of, not solely because, but there's that factor that because of the lack of balance of logic and kind of emotion and attention, you know, you've been overindulged in whatever you want, whenever you want. Now you're in the real world. You're just accustomed to people just giving you what you want when you want. And if there was that logical discipline of, you know what, I need to teach you certain aspects of life in which you don't always get what you want when you want. Sometimes you never even get that.
That's a challenge, because it's not tactical in a sense. Not really. Everything's been thought through rather than just acting on emotion.
Yeah, but it's acting on emotion.
Because what you're saying is, because logically you're trying to predict the future.
Not really. No. What I'm saying, no. So what I'm saying is, okay, so if your child just comes to you, say
you could get, like, there's scenarios where someone's received everything and still turned out alright. I mean on the emotional side though, if you're always giving your child whatever they want, like indulging them just because you feel like, but
he's sad.
On the flip of that, there are people that are able to be in that position of receiving everything and still turn out to be loving individuals that are not selfish and still work and graft. Yeah. So like, I get it, but there's also the aspect where logical kind of gets to a point where you can't predict everything and you can't strategically kind of be like, oh, little Tommy, I'm going to give you all my love, but hold on, wait, I'm trying to teach you stuff, so I need to be logical.
I'm saying it's about the balance though. I'm saying instead of going 100% emotional, I'm saying there has to be that balance. In terms of the relationship, parent-to-child relationship, work, career, the house, I'm saying,
what works best for my child?
Across all areas, what is the best? Where is that kind of balance?
But even in that, so
I've seen things go where some parents are too kind of methodical.
But that's because they're too logical in the sense of their thinking, their processing, their experience has got them to the point where they are now, where they're thinking, I lack this, therefore I'm going to give my child all this because this is the consequences that happen in my life.
Yeah.
So basically, regardless of whatever approach you take, you still might neglect another side. So you could be logical or try and get that balance where your child needed more emotion, just outright emotion. You know, that's the challenge of this whole battle between love and mind, because you can logically be like, I need to find a balance. But even with that balance, depending on what your child's like, whether they become a child that's maybe just a little bit needy when they're growing up, and you're like, no, logically, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And we all know that childhood kind of upbringing or the way that you're raised has an impact on who you are today.
It shapes you, the formative years shape you.
So you never know. Your child might be real sensitive and needs that, 60% emotion. But you're like, no, 50-50, and then you apply logic and then
I'm saying it's about that balance. It's definitely about the balance, and there's no right or, it's tough because there's no right or wrong, and like you said, it's subjective between each child and each person and each relationship.
You don't know what sort of life you're going to create
tough,
for your child.
Even it's like across the board, there's no like set kind of, okay, you got to do 40% logic, a little sprinkle of this, you know, whatever percent.
Sugar, spice, and everything.
Sugar, spice, the
Powerpuff Girls.
It's just one of those ones where it's like it's tough. Again, there's no rule books for this. And
so flipping it, if you're going to reflect, I know we've kind of gone down this parent-child relationship, and this is a very challenging question. You don't have to answer it. Looking on your life and your upbringing, which one would you say your parents gave you more of, the logical or the emotional side, or was it an even balance?
I think growing up, I felt it was more logical, but I think once I became an adult, I realised there was that fair balance. It's hard to say like specifically this was 42, this was 40.
Yeah.
But I'd say kind of roughly even, both probably, I think maybe different points.
Maybe that's a joy of having both parents as well, because hopefully if they're opposites,
you get that balance.
Yeah.
But you're probably tethered between 40 and 60 either way, across different kind of points. But that is something I've noticed with a lot of families as well, is that you usually get the kind of more stern, logical, go to school, educational kind of parent. And you get the kind of go out and live your life.
Don't worry, go travelling,
go those trainers, go get those. And you kind of get that kind of balance, and it's important to have it.
I'm thinking about it because, you know, like siblings are very tactical of, you have your little plan, you go, you know what, I'm going to ask mum before I ask dad. You know, if you go to dad, or if you go to mum, depending on which one in the relationship is the logical one. No. But if you go to the right one, but like, I need new football boots because there's a big game and I want to score 4 goals because I'm close to being top scorer. Oh, okay.
There was always that tactic for us. It was just mum, classic mum. We're like, dad's just going to say no, so let's ask mum. Mum. But then as we got older, as we just started asking dad straight. Because you just kind of know whether or not what's going to happen. And I think that does happen. Like kids kind of evolve and get that knowledge, and they're like, hold on a minute.
Tactic.
You're more stern. But then you like you kind of get that. You get that, and it's just interesting to see how kids pick up that knowledge and learn from it. And
my brother, he just turned 14, and he was tactical. Oh my days! So bear in mind, so one of my brothers, he got his ears pierced when he was, I wouldn't say 17, but it was a battle. Rowan, I know you shouldn't mention names, but he just turned 14, and he was like, I'm going to get my ears pierced. But what I'm going to do is I'm going away, I've got a Malta. So my birthday's a week after. So if I drop a message whilst in Malta, it gives them time to ponder it. And then by the time I come back, or even before I come back, they're going to have a decision. It worked. He was so tactical. He told me the plan before he even went.
So what, he told them he was going to do it, or he just said...
No. He asked permission. He was like, hey, for my birthday, I would like my ears to be pierced. Dipped. Messaged again. But messaged one parent to see if he can get like that kind of tactical decision.
Get the ball rolling.
And then question mark when he came back. And then he got the answer. I was like, that is tactical. He knew it.
You have to be. At that age and them years, you have to. You learn those logical tactics. You learn to kind of move around.
So like, if we're going to take it to a different context, love and logic in the sense of, let's say what you're doing now, everything you're doing, would you say that things are done because of love, or are you thinking things are being done out of logic?
In what context are you talking, like career, work, family?
Just life. Like, is there anything that is just a logical move?
I think it usually starts with emotion. So you get the emotional side, whether that's a hobby or a job or a career or a house, whatever it is. I think that emotional side sparks the sort of interest or the fire. And then I think I've just learned to adapt and apply the logic. So I've learned to balance things out. For example, if I want to get a new job, when I got a new job, it was, do I want to do this? Yes, emotion, enjoyment. I like this stream of work. I will enjoy I enjoy doing this day to day, 9 to 5. I'm cool with that. Logic. How far is the workplace from where I live? What is the salary? What are the benefits? So it kind of starts with the emotion, then I kind of work the logic around it. So that way you get the positive aspect of the emotion. It's not too high, it's not too low. You've got that fair emotional balance, but then you've applied logic to that in the sense where, although your emotions have led, they're closely followed by logic. So a lot of what you're doing becomes strategic. And I think that's something I've picked up from a lot of people who are older than me, is that when they do things, there's a lot of strategy behind it. So they're enjoying it at its core, but then around it, there's a lot of logic behind it. Case in point, I was watching an interview with Kevin Hart on Sway, and he just kind of spoke, and he's spoken on quite a few interviews.
How Sway?
Yeah, how Sway. And what I love about him is that comedy at the heart is the emotion. He enjoys that, making people laugh, the connection, the stories, the building. But then around that, he's built this strategic, logical game plan of, we're going to do one stand-up show tour every 2 years. In between those times when I write my material, I want to drop a movie or two. I'm doing specific movies that are franchise movies in which, so he's doing what, is it Life or Pets at Home? Or Life or Pets? And he's trying to emulate what they've done with, I can't remember what the franchise was, Ice Age. Where a lot of people who are on it, they did the free movies, then that kind of propelled them to different levels. So he's like, I'm looking at it from a strategic point of view where I'm building myself in stand-up comedy, I've peaked, we've moved into movies, I'm doing this from a strategic point of view, I'm always 2 or 3 years ahead. And I was like, wow, but he maintained that. At the core of it, I enjoy comedy. That's what I'm doing. That's what I love. That's what I do. You kind of like, if you imagine like you plant yourself down, then you kind of build the mast and the castle around you. So you're where you want to be, but you've protected yourself in many different ways. You looked at it logically. Again, using the house example, say I'm looking for a house. Again, how far is it going to be from where I work and family and friends? The kind of emotional side, do I like this house? Am I connected? Do I feel this house? I just knew it was the one. Then around that, again, like I said, how much is it going to cost? How much is it going to set me back on a month-to-month basis? Mortgage, bills, how are the neighbours? Are they crackheads or are they cool? Like, who do I live next to? Just taking those different aspects and then just formulating that around the house. So that's something that I've learned to do from a lot of older people, and it's something that I think it's great. You know, there have been instances in my life where I've just done by emotion. I just feel like buying this. I just want that. Then I do it, and it's like, then after the logic comes, the logical clarity comes. It's like, why did I do that? And I think that happens with a lot of people and mistakes and decisions. I was even listening to sort of Tim Ferriss, and he spoke about how a lot of people do things based on emotion, and then after they'll kind of be like, why didn't I do this?
Come into your senses. Really.
Yeah, it's literally come to your senses. He said it.
If anyone doesn't know,
it's a decision. It's a delayed decision or something.
I just know when you bust it
in
up.
hindsight. Yeah. Logical clarity.
I can see through the fog. What am I doing there?
Literally, and he kind of spoke about that and how if you don't make the right decisions, you will kind of in hindsight have that regret. And it's just about taking the time or being smart. So for me, I make quick decisions, but only quick decisions and emotional decisions on decisions that are easily reversible or that are fairly non-expensive. So if something costs less than £100, or if I did something that I know that if it was wrong, I could reverse it. If I had a block of ice.
That's your risk appetite. You have a very low risk.
I would say I've got a high risk appetite, but I'm saying with kind of making certain decisions, it's like, okay, move fast with this, with other ones, let's take our time. And I think it's just about striking that balance You could, I guess, liken it to risk balance, but for me, it's more just having a balance in that kind of logical, emotional sense. So yeah, I've just learned to just find a balance with it.
So what's your tricks?
My tricks? Yeah. So again, the main one is with decisions. Just think: is it reversible or irreversible? If it is reversible, then you can move a bit fast because again, it can be undone. If it's irreversible, something that's quite hard to recoup or come back from, then just take your time with it. Take your time, and I think it's important to just think as well. What emotion are you feeling? That's the thing. Because some people just feel something and then just act. What are you feeling? Is it love, lust, hate, anger? You know, it depends on what the emotion is, and then just trying to strip that back. Okay, I feel this. My emotions are valid, and that's one thing I'm quite instrumental in telling people, that your emotions are valid. I don't think anyone can tell you you're wrong for the way you feel.
Exactly.
You feel how you feel.
You shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's not really a statement. You know, you feel how you feel, and all you can do is respect someone's emotions. I think it's important to be respectful of that, recognize what emotions you're feeling, and then just kind of look at it from a logical standpoint. Okay, why do I feel this way? What are the consequences? I think consequences come into this a huge part. What are the consequences if I do go down this direction based on emotion, or if I do go down that direction based on logic? And I think I've spent a lot of my life more on the kind of logical side, whereas now I'm a lot older, I'm sort of realizing that your emotions, again, are just as valid, just as important. So I'm at a point now where I'm kind of thinking, when I want to do something and it's based on emotion, where I'd normally kind of wait and look at things logically, sometimes I'm like, no, let's just do it. Traveling, for example, Bali, Japan, you know, did that a couple of weeks ago. Normally I would have been like, no, this is not the right time to go. You know, work's important, this is happening at home in the family, it's probably not going to be hot. But then this part of me is like, live your life, bro. Let your emotions run once in a while. Go out and
live.
Literally live. Go out and see the world and just see what the world has to offer. And I think that's something that, well, because some people are just so, and again, I've been guilty of this, so tunnel vision, so focused, you don't take time out to really enjoy it. And I've recognized it in the office space, 9 to 5, people come in at 7, have 15 coffees, they leave at 8 or 9, and there's no emotion. And I'm like, what's going on here? I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm like, no.
There's no feel.
Yeah, there's no emotion. I'm just sort of like, I don't want to end up like that. I understand that there is a balance and we're all different. But for me, like you said, I need to live my life. I need to enjoy it. I need to kind of see the world. I need to experience things, you know. There's so much the world has to offer. I don't think people realize how much the world has to offer. Even in the UK alone, London alone, there is so many things we can do. We could go out, do some Krav Maga, salsa, cooking lessons, bro. There's so many things, and I think people are just missing a trick by focusing too much on one side or the other. But obviously, it goes the other way as well. I think some people can focus a little too much on their emotions, and they kind of miss things like.
But that's your driving factor.
It is, but there has to be. It's kind of like a car. Like the emotion is the engine, I guess. Then logic is like the steering wheel. So yeah, you can lead on emotion, but you're just going to go. If you're fortunate enough, you're just going to go straight and be okay. If you're not, you might crash into trees or hit something. The logic kind of comes in and takes a bit of control. And
would you say everything starts from emotion?
For the most part, not always. No, I don't think it'll be fair to say always.
Some of it's logic.
Yeah. But I think for the most part it is, because we are...
My reverse breakdown of that is your logic side is trying to prevent you from being in a situation where emotionally you're going to be impacted.
I don't think it does it based on emotion. I think it just does it based on... I think it just thinks logically, does this make sense? And it just happens to have been led by emotion. Then it will kind of strip back, because logic can fight against logic as well. Logic could say, let's do this, then your other logic could be like, it could be like, no, that doesn't make sense. And there's no emotion involved, but it's just based on pure logic. I think emotion can, and a lot of the times, is centered to that. It's tough, because again, it's different for everyone. Like, I don't know if you've met people who are just purely logical, like no emotion, never upset.
I wouldn't say...
They're just 100% let the logic leads. They suppress their sort of intuition. It's like, nah, logic.
Yeah.
Because I've seen.
But I feel like that's
extremes.
Been created based on them being scared of that emotion side.
Yeah, some of that, and I've also met. Some people are just naturally.
Because have you met someone who's like, no, I ain't gonna be logical. No. Logic scares me.
Like complete to the other
Yeah.
side. Not complete.
Because you're likely to meet someone who's like emotionally cut off.
Yeah, I've met that.
But have you met someone who's logically cut off? You're like, yo, should we either meet at 9:30 or 10? I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna go with my flow.
Yo, there are free spirits. Yeah. I've met. Let me turn it right. I've met highly spontaneous people.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I feel like this. Oh, they're gone already. They're gone already. Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I feel I can get the sense where some people may try and perceive the fact that they're emotionless. I think everyone's got emotion in them. You can't rid it. But I don't think you will come across someone who's actually, maybe it's a functioning element. I don't think you're going to come across someone who's in a functioning position or even functioning as in terms of society, where you go to, let's meet up at 9 or 9:30. I don't think you're going to come across a person who's not going to be, okay, 9:15, 9:10, this works for me. If you came across someone who was completely just out of logic, just nodded at you, man, 9:30? What does that mean, bro?
Like Spain.
What does that mean? Are you going to be there? Just nod.
See what it means?
I don't think. Yeah.
I
haven't come across that person. They probably, Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah. There was,
see you when I see you.
Yeah. It was there. I'll be there at X time, and then X time just didn't come, and it was like, I was tired or I felt X way, and I was
like, the thing is, I know who you're talking about.
No, I don't think you do, but you probably...
Yeah. We'll talk off camera.
Yeah, I'm not about it.
Don't worry.
Okay.
So, yeah, logic versus the brain.
It's an interesting one.
Logic versus the brain, logic versus the heart.
But you know what? I'd love to kind of figure out how animals do things. Because we're animals, and I think people forget that we are animals. I think we've just evolved to have that more intelligent, logical side, according to ourselves anyway. And I'd love to kind of see how dolphins are and other animals, other mammals.
Apparently dolphins are
because they're highly intelligent animals. Highly intelligent. So intelligence to me means you have some form of logic and understanding, but then they're also highly emotional as well.
Because you've got emotional intelligence.
That's the thing. But I'd love to kind of see how they interact in their sort of environments and kind of monkeys and apes, and see how they interact and how different they are in terms of that logical versus emotional aspect. And when you watch these animal shows, it's interesting to just see, because I'm like, but these guys are intelligent. Like, they understand family, they understand...
Because if you're going to take it from an animal perspective, you're going to have to think about the physiological kind of impact that happens. So right now, if we hit a bang, your body automatically goes into a flight or flight sort of response. So everything's activated. Mm-hmm. Your heart starts racing, you got hormones just pumping through your body, ready for you to take action. That hasn't even required logic. And I don't even know if that's emotionally driven. Probably is out of fear. It's
the way they both described it is like the old part of our brain.
The primitive part of your brain.
Yeah. Apparently that locks off your logical. Yeah. Locks it off, takes all the energy, and you're just, flight or flight. Emotion, adrenaline, you're ready to go.
The reptilian brain is just like, it's the wiring just skips out the processing element.
It's mad. Like, it's just mad how we've evolved to be the way we are.
It's the brain. You know, it's crazy. Different parts of the brain, and also like on that element of depending who's listening, especially from the sense of developing your emotional part of your brain. Yeah, that takes to the age of 25. So a lot of the times when you reflect on, oh man, I've been in moments where I've been emotional, when I've been logical, and I think when you're growing up, you're more likely to be. You might be emotional because you can't really gauge what's going on, and that's down to the fact that your brain doesn't even fully develop yet. You're making big boy decisions on a pre-adult brain. Yeah. It develops at 25. Yeah. But then there's the other side of it where you might become a bit logical, in the sense of my brain's too young to even understand emotion, so all we can do is logic because that's all that's been taught to us.
That is correct. You know what, on that, and I guess it's gonna. It might not be completely. We can only speak from our perspective, but on that, do you think there's a difference between men and women? It would obviously be fair to have a woman here to kind of speak on behalf of women, but because there's always been this...
I don't know scientifically, but...
there's always been this kind of like... maybe not scientifically, but there's always been this women are emotional, men are...
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
thing. Is that something you've recognised? I'm not saying is it right or wrong, but is it something that you've observed yourself? Because again, we don't have evidence to kind of say...
I think there's a number of factors.
This is it.
There's probably a biological factor as well, but there's also the element of society. So
is it society or is it nature or nurture? Because a lot of people will say the maternal aspect kind of comes out. But yeah, do you think society has a part to play?
I think society will play a big part. Because it's little things. Oh, you're a big boy. Big boys don't cry. It's little things. Why, that talk?
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure there's little girls that get the same thing. You're a big girl and all that other stuff.
Let it out.
But I think that kind of, there's no real core acceptance when a man or even a child is crying at a certain age. So the only time that it's really acceptable is when your team's got through to the Champions League final. You're like, big man, it's happened. Oh my days. Oh my blood.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah. I say, oh man, shit, achievement. But if it's like, hey bro, man, I made a mess in my kitchen. It's just a messy mess.
Why are you weeping, bro?
Worst case, bad example. So I definitely think there's a biological. I think there's an environmental, in the sense of nature, nurture, and everything like that. Society also plays a role. So all those three combinations, it creates who you are and what you are.
It forms a massive part, especially over the span of your life. Your formative years, 10, 15, 20 years. If you're constantly taught to behave and act in a certain way, as well as everyone around you is being taught the same thing, it's going to affect you.
But
it's going to shape you.
Even from the sense of, a real serious question is, what's emotions? What is love? Those two are so hard to actually define.
That's that deeper level. Because
emotions, I feel something. But what am I feeling? Why am I feeling? What emotion is it? Happy, sad? This is my vocabulary. It only extends to angry, hangry, all different ones. But maybe that's not the right definition for how I'm feeling right now. Right now, what emotion am I feeling? Calm, comfortable. But it might be something else. It might be excited.
But no one can tell you that but yourself. I don't think anyone has the right to tell you how to feel,
but
how you're feeling.
You're never taught to really gauge what they are. I remember having a conversation with my mum way back, like last year. And I said, maybe for kids, to help them understand their emotions. Because I feel like emojis, I think I mentioned it before, emojis can describe how you're feeling better than words. So that blur face, that sigh, how do they, you just know.
Yeah.
But when you go, how you feel?
I'm alright.
It's a sound.
Yeah. Them days. Yeah.
But when I go, what's good? Long day. ... So I always feel that emotion needs to be taught. The other side of it is love. What is actually you can't, and that's the hard thing. You can't really describe love because you remember when we was on the panel for Tezo's thing.
Rest in peace.
And it was like, what is love? And for me, I'm still trying to define it. Because I have love for family, I have love for friends.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, there's more than one. Yeah.
What does it mean? Why is it love? Is it love? Like the family love. That your family could disrespect you, you'd be like, I still fucking love you.
Unconditional. Yeah.
I had to ask my mum, I was like, Mum, unconditional love. You saw me, baby. And from that moment, you love me. I ain't even said 2 words. You just see me. You're mine, I love you. How's that? Is that emotion? Is that logical? All those sort of things. So this whole battle between
that's a deeper level.
Your heart and your mind, it kind of starts from understanding your emotions.
Getting that understanding.
I would say emotion is my core foundation. Just because it helps you think better. It makes you understand, okay, I'm feeling this way. Logically, what do I need to do?
Yeah, it's a part of who you are. And it's one of those things, it's integral to us as human beings. You cannot take that away. You cannot take that away. And kind of related to you speaking about love, that one, that's a whole different episode. It's a tough one because there's more than one facet to love. you have that unconditional parent-child love, unconditional. You've got the relationship, the family, the friends. There's different aspects to it. Then it does break down because you have lust, you have loving someone, and then being in love. There are so many different aspects to it, man. Yeah, I've got love for you. I'm in love with you. There's so many different aspects to it that it's so hard to put it down into one aspect. And then the way we show and express and feel love is on a different level as well.
Love languages.
That's the thing. So you've got different layers to it. You've got different layers of love as well. And yeah, that's a series. That's another episode because it just goes on so many different levels. It just goes on so many different levels, and you kind of mentioned the point about kind of like a mother and a child, and I think that we definitely have to touch on that. We definitely have to get women in to kind of discuss that as well, because I've heard women mention, not to kind of go too off the subject, but I've heard some women mention that they were told that it has to be instant kind of thing, and then they were like, it wasn't. A lot of them said, you know what, and I felt bad because it wasn't. And again, this is the sort of image that is kind of being put out in society where you have to feel this when this happens. I didn't feel that way. Does that mean I'm a bad person? This person says, I didn't feel that instant love. I had post-traumatic depression. You know, I didn't feel that connection instantly. Am I a bad mother because of that? And yeah, that's a different topic. But yeah, not to kind of go off too much. But yeah, it's very interesting to see how we will deal with this love versus logic and making decisions. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things, and where it kind of shows itself is that the way we make decisions, some people tend to do it more on logic, some more on how they feel.
It's your unique value, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. So for me, classic one that's been recently has been gym. You know, if you want to get that body, if you want to get that size, if you want to stay fit, you don't have to go gym. I have to go, 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week. But there are days when after work, my emotions are like, oh, man, this is long. And I've learned to just kind of let my logic take over and say, but you want to reach this goal, you want to have this body, you want to be healthy, go. And it's interesting because a lot of the articles I've been reading and books I've been reading have all just touched on, it's weird, they've been not telling me, but what they've been saying is, in order for you to achieve, sometimes you have to overturn your emotions. You have to go, irrespective of how you feel, you still need to deliver. And it's true. If you want to get paid, you have to go to work regardless of how you feel. Your kids, your wife are stressing you. The bills still need to be paid, and there still needs to be food on the table. You have to sometimes overturn your emotions. I don't know what damage and long-term implications that has for us as human beings and as people, but it is interesting to see that in order for you to achieve certain things, you do have to kind of overcome those emotions. So logic obviously has its place. Absolutely no denying that, and I think it is important to just strike that balance, and it is going to be different for everyone. It is going to be different.
Because you got to be careful. Sometimes we make logical decisions that actually have a detrimental impact on our emotion.
100%.
So that's the other side. Because with anything, you see it sometimes. When it comes to motivation, it's a lot of it's down to love. We can logically think about, oh yeah, money, pay. But there's only a matter of time before it might, depending who you are, it might just not be as impactful.
Because it's just a thing. What is it without the kind of emotion? Like, it's the emotional and the driving factor that you mentioned before.
If you've got a love for making money,
but it's the thing. You're making it, but then what are you going to do with it? Whereas if you've got the family and you're working, it's stressing you, but why are you doing it? For my family, for my kids.
That's the why, isn't it?
That's the why. That's the emotional center. It's intricate, and it's a deep topic, and it's just one of those ones where, you know what, I think I definitely also love to hear what people have to say as well.
As always.
How do people deal with their emotions and logic? Do you let your emotions run? Do you let your logic run? How do you deal with certain situations? Because, we're all different and we see the world through our own eyes and our own lenses, so it'll be interesting to hear what people have to say. I think, on that point, we'll kind of bring this to a kind of natural end and natural close.
Natural
close? Of course, yeah, go for it, man.
Nah, because I think it's important for people to really understand that this balance thing, you can try and strive for it, but you just have to, I don't even know if it's a balance thing, because I will put up my hand and say I haven't got even balance. There's moments where I'm super logical and there's moments where I'm super emotional. And even if one turns out to be a wrong decision, the only thing I can do is ask questions about that scenario. So one of my sayings now is, it is what it is. I've got myself to where I am today.
Yeah.
It is where it is. So what do I do?
Where do we go from here?
You think, you reflect, and just keep on moving forward.